Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and it's a Sunday comic book review video for your entertainment. Thank you all for joining me. I only had 5 books on my pull list this week, so hopefully this will be quite the short video for you to watch, because there's already been a video out just a couple of days ago. And I want to thank everyone who's still watching my podcast, The Softlands, where I am going through every single issue of The Sandman. If you've not yet watched that, please go to my channel, look at my playlists. It'll be right there near the top. If you haven't watched any of them yet, let's start listening. There's plenty. There's 3 episodes up so far, so I hope you take the time to listen that in the background, because it's just an audio for the majority of it, with some pretty pictures going along, which you don't really need to look at. Just listen to my voice. Thank you to everyone who has been watching that and commenting and saying such nice things. I'm really enjoying doing this now and really delving into the Sandman universe, my favourite run of all time. Heavy statement there, but it's true. It's my favourite. If it's not yours, I might be able to turn you around a little. But today, obviously, it's all about my thoughts and opinions on the books that I picked up on Wednesday. So if you've watched my new Comic Book Day video already, you'll know what's to come. And we're kicking off with a book that I said on Wednesday that if it didn't do anything really for me, because it's now 5 issues in, it's going to be dropped. Talking about The Realm by Seth Peck and Jeremy Hown. And yes, I'm afraid I'm going to be dropping this. And it's just with 5 issues in, I still don't really understand, I don't know, the mechanics of this world, the rules of it, what these characters' kind of motivations are. And I do think 5 issues in, I should be further along in understanding how this world works, and I don't think either of the creators on this have really pushed that envelope and brought the readers in, because this reminds me, it's strange, as I finished it, there was a familiarity to what had gone on in this book, and I was trying to figure out what it was, and it was only till today that I went, oh yes, it's that book by Justin Jordan, The Spread, or Spread. And in some respects, and this storyline in this particular issue certainly fits a part that happened in Spread, which is one of those other titles that I dropped after so long, because it just wasn't doing anything or going anywhere now for me. I don't know what's going on with that book now. I believe it's still going, but I don't know anyone who's reading it. So what you have in this issue is you have this kind of civilization, I guess, or a group of people that have all come together, barricaded themselves in against the massing hordes of orcs, I guess you'd call them. And again, there is no kind of history really that I can remember about why they're so against each other and why they can't live together, you know, harmoniously in this world that they've created, this realm. But there, you've got the orcs outside trying to break in, and it's a huge big fight. People die. Characters turn up seemingly out of the blue. The main characters that you've been with for the last 5 issues don't even know who this person is. I'm not sure who it is. And it all just seems a little bit confusing and just doesn't seem to have a sense of order to the story that it's trying to tell. To the point where I don't even know why this is called The Realm. There is a bit at the end, I don't even know really if it's a cliffhanger. There's kind of going back to this woman who's meant to be, I don't know, some baddie, and she has connections to our group of people travelling on this journey with these scientists trying to get somewhere with something. There's just too many bits all over the place that I don't have a clue what's going on. So unfortunately, Realm is going to go. As I said previously with my comic book store, my orders are done like maybe one or two issues in advance, so I'm going to have to at least get the next couple of issues, I guess I'm going to say, unfortunately. But I don't see this getting any better than the average book it is now, and I can't afford to have average on my list anymore. So DC brought out the Flash annual #1 this week, and I'm not quite sure why this was an annual, because really we could have cut this book in half. And that was really to do with all the future stuff, which feels like it does fit into this whole Flash War prelude that, you know, we have this banner at the top, and this is meant to be the next big event for the Flash, moving into the next big storyline. But it's the bits in between with Wally West, and as hard as Joshua Williams is really working this story, it feels like it's trying to catch readers up in this whole crazy Flash, new DC universe, kind of post-52, post-Convergence, post-Rebirth, and trying to make sense of it all for readers new and old. And we have the fact that Wally West, who kind of came back to the DC universe through Rebirth, and I didn't know because I guess he's part of the Titans team, and I don't read that, but his identity to the people closest to him is still a secret. And to a point, it's like, well, we've already had this story with Barry Allen and him confronting Iris with his identity. And while there are these kind of conversations that Barry and Wally and the other Wally, because we've got numerous Wally Wests running around now, they're having this conversation about revealing an identity, and Barry has been through this. He knows from experience that he waited too long, and that the fallout from that was, you know, really bad. So it's difficult to understand why Wally won't listen to Barry. We have this monologue going through it from Wally about how much he looks up to Barry and has always seen him as this beacon of hope and, you know, his kind of perfect superhero partner kind of deal. So why he's so against it, and it kind of tries to address this in a kind of roundabout way, while Wally will not still tell Iris who he is and that he's back. He tells a kind of, I guess you'd call her an old flame, a young girl that he grew up with. And at first, because of the whole him coming back out of the time stream and supposedly everyone's forgotten he's existed, she doesn't quite know who he is, and then it kind of clicks from memories that Wally reminds her of, and suddenly she remembers. But at the same time, and this is something I didn't know anything about, this woman is also a superhero turned supervillain because of the omission of Wally West in the DC universe when he kind of got trapped in the Speed Force and didn't come back. And so there is this big kind of fight scene between him and her called, I think she's called Magento. So she's a bit like a female version of Magneto from Marvel, where she has control over of metal. And it's that kind of almost cliche of, you know, trying to get to the heart of Magenta and bringing out the good in her and breaking her down that way, rather than the whole big fight scene kind of knocking her out, etc. But like I said, that whole stuff, it's kind of a worn, treaded path. the bit that I was most enjoying out of it was actually the future stuff. The idea of this, in the far-flung future, there is this Flash museum where all of Flash's history and all the different type of Flashes are in this big museum, and someone has basically trashed it. We're wondering who it is, and we have this hooded figure. He's part of, I guess, I don't know if it's some sort of kind of religious cult of Flash, but it is revealed at the very end. Spoilers here if you've not read this already, but it is, of course, the return of the big bad for the Flash. It's Zoom. He takes his mask off, he takes the hood off, and we see him there. And there is this kind of I don't know how this, again, because I'm not familiar with the Flash universe, it's difficult to understand the motives of Zoom, because he's wanting to make the Flash the hero he should be, and apparently that isn't happening right now, and that's why he's starting this Flash war where he's going to have all the Flashes up. Basically, it sounds like they're going to be up against each other. It's a great start to a prelude to the story, but this could have easily been in just the regular storyline and building up to the Flash War. But I guess, you know, DC want to make some money because this obviously is an annual, it's more expensive, and they make a bit more cash on the side. But it was a good book to set up an event. It didn't need to be an annual. We move on to Marvel's Max Comics imprint, and it's the penultimate part of this 6-issue miniseries from The Punisher, The Platoon, a story going back to Frank Castle's kind of army roots, and it's just been a solid read from the very beginning. From Ennis and Parlov and Belair on art duties, and we have Frank Castle's platoon sent on what might be, you know, not a fool's errand, but they just seem to be throwing the worst jobs at this platoon, and you know, it could be because of their actions from previous issues, and someone higher up is not pleased, so giving them all the crappy jobs to do. But they're going to retrieve the dead bodies of fellow soldiers that have died in combat. But this has left them open to the enemy, and this is kind of like the what's gonna happen basically is, you know, there's gonna be another kind of crossfire fight scenario where we have Frank, not desperately, because he's just kind of like the leader. He has the common sense, he has the strategic mindset to try and keep his guys alive, and throughout the issue we kind of go back to, or rather we go back forward to all these guys that have survived from the platoon, who's telling this story to this kind of mysterious interviewer person, and letting this kind of interviewer know that Frank kind of just brought out the best in people. It wasn't, and in true kind of Frank Castle style, it's the fewer words, the better from him, and his platoon just know what is expected of them. And like I said, he brings out the best of his platoon to help them survive at any cost. And it's just the crazy situation that these guys have been put into, and although there are casualties along the way, Frank Castle will do his utmost to keep these men alive. And of course there's the big cliffhanger where we have the woman from the enemy side coming down from the tree. She's been kind of setting all this up because obviously she hates Americans, she wants to kill all Americans, she's got this one set mind obsession, and nothing will stand in her way. And it looks like the last issue is going to see a a big kind of fight scene between her and Frank, and to see who eventually will get out of this alive. There is the kind of element that, yes, this is a Punisher title. We know Frank Castle is going to get out of this alive. But Ennis and any writer or good writer on the Punisher should be able to make the stakes seem feasible, seem not, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Not inevitable. I mean, we know it is. Frank is going to survive because he becomes the Punisher. But there has to be that element of tension, and I think that Garth Ennis certainly does the job here. Just like I said in Wednesday's video, I love these kind of past stories of Frank in his war days, how it affects him for his kind of future as the Punisher. Just a great book, and it looks gorgeous again. Parlov and Belair really showing their artistic chops on here, whether they're drawing it or colouring it. It just looks great, and it's going to be a nice little mini series to go back to time and time again. Okay, so the penultimate book I'm going to talk about this week is Max Bemis' Moon Knight, issue 191, continuing the crazy runs in the family storyline. And the thing I love so much about this, and I think it's all tied in with this whole new legacy environment that we're in now, is that this really feels like a Marvel comic from the good old days, let's call them that. Because it just kind of does what it's meant to do, and that's entertain, have some tension, have some action, and be a fun comic book to read. Yes, there's all this kind of dark stuff going on in there, but it doesn't seem to overwhelm the book like so many other stuff seems to do these days. It's just classic Moon Knight action, where his kind of on-off girlfriend Marlene has been kidnapped by this new avatar of the Sun Ra god, and she has given birth to a daughter some years back. And if I'm working this out correctly, although it is Mark Spector's, it's more the Jake Lockley persona's daughter. I think I'm getting that right. There is kind of that confusing split personality element to this. So it's kind of fun to see how Mark Spector copes with having to look after this young child who is kind of quite the precocious young girl, and kind of not necessarily teases, but kind of lays down some facts about the fact that, you know, Moon Knight isn't really a kind of superhero. He doesn't have any powers as such. He doesn't fly. How can he be this superhero? And there is always that kind of line with Moon Knight, and I guess it's because Moon Knight is sort of Marvel's whiter version of the dark black Batman. And I just like that kind of lightness from the young girl, kind of bringing to the fore what we've kind of always seen. But it's packed with action. We have the kind of showdown to some respects with Moon Knight and Bushman and this avatar, and the threat from the avatar of Sun Ra wanting to kill not only Marlene, and who he kidnaps, but also kill the girl. He really wants to knock Moon Knight down and make him so disheartened that he is that easier foe to defeat. But obviously Moon Knight's not going to give up without a fight. But it was just such a entertaining, fun book to read, and that's just what Marvel need at the moment. They need to stop kind of, I guess, pandering to a small audience that are rightly or wrongly annoyed on social media about how comics are in this day and age, but just stick to telling great stories and not have all these agendas to please everyone, because it's never going to happen. Stick to what you're good at, putting out good stories, good solid characters, getting in very tricky situations and how to get them out of it. But Moon Knight, I'm really loving this new run by Max Bemis. Jeff Lemire did a great job not so long ago with his kind of short volume series of Moon Knight and what he did with it there, trying to bring all the split personalities together, trying to get them working as one rather than these disparate characters. And Max Bemis has kind of moved that forward and thrown a small spanner in the works with the whole, yes, they kind of all come together, they're all kind of working together, but there is still this uneasiness between some of the personalities, which I think is such a clever storytelling device through this. But I'm really ready for the kind of big smackdown between the two avatars and who will come out on top. But great stuff, really great art by who is it? I'm going to say it's Burroughs, but what's his first name? Jason Burroughs, Guillermo Ortega on inks, and Matt Lopez on colours. I believe, because it looks kind of familiar, it's that Vertigo series. Why do I always forget what it's called? I want to say Unfollow, but it was that kind of psychological horror type social media thing on Vertigo. I think it was called Unfollow, but it's got that vibe to it. I'm pretty sure that they've kind of taken the artist from that onto here because it's so like it, but that's a good thing. So great book. If you're not picking up Moon Knight, catch up with this crazy runs in the family storyline. So my pick of the week is Astro City issue number 50. We would expect Kurt to go large on this, being a kind of anniversary issue as such, but as I said in Wednesday's video, and what you read in the back of this from Kurt himself was that yes, we have already had a kind of anniversary issue of sorts with the whole 100 issues in total through all its various guises and publishing house imprints that it's been on. So he didn't want to make a huge deal about this, but wanted to make it special. And my God, this is so special. This is such a great book. For those of you who read Astro City, this kind of comes as no surprise in the way Kurt works this book. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Astro City, yes, we are residing in a city that is full of superheroes, but we don't necessarily see the whole kind of obvious angle from the superhero where, you know, they have a mystery or they have a murder or there is an invasion and you see it all happening. You actually see a lot, or even not most of it, from the eyes of the normal citizens of Astro City. And throughout the whole runs of Astro City, you just continually think about these people. It's very much like the kind of Gotham in Batman's universe where all these crazy bad things happen, you know, buildings topple, the villains take over the city, etc., etc. And you just wonder why these people stay there. Why do they not just move out and leave? And this Astro City kind of touches on this in a very cool way. We have a character going way back. I think his name's Michael. I can't remember his last name now. But he's built a support group for the victims of these events and catastrophes that happen in Astro City, the people that are left behind from all the battles, the wars, the invasions that happen in Astro City, whether they've been directly affected, whether people they've loved have died during these kerfuffles, and it's just so down to earth, so simple a storyline, but so affecting. And we have Michael, who runs this support group, and it seems to be a daily occurrence, and it's just so, I want to use the word sweet, but it's not sweet. It's very emotive, having these people try to live a normal life in this city that is kind of almost beyond their comprehension, the things that happen in it, and them just trying to lead for want of a better phrase, a normal life around all the madness. And you get all these characters, and you remember the storylines because he brings in so many of them that have happened over the decades that Astro City has been around. And it just feels real. It's just perfect storytelling. Kurt always does this, and I'm surprised that this is more of a 3-part story rather than just a single one-shot, because it works just as a single one-shot. And it kind of draws in, like I said, other storylines, if only briefly. It really focuses on Michael, the main character. He's bringing all these people, trying to have this support basis for them to just come and talk and chat and connect with people, and try and be as normal as they can. And we look at him and we see, well, is he really coping himself? And a couple of the characters do bring this up. He's doing all this for everyone else, but it's that kind of deal, who's looking after him? And we see him kind of maybe having an alcohol problem, but when you have this mysterious benefactor, because there is a point in the story where it's like he has no monetary worries, which is why he can do this as a job, so to speak, because he doesn't get paid, but someone is paying his rent, someone is paying his energy bills, someone is feeding his bank balance so he can live a comfortable life. So there is someone out there, whether it's someone like the honor guard who know what he's doing and approve of it, but it is just that whole, we're looking at it from our point of view and the fallout from these huge events that go on in Astro City. And Kurt just has this heart and this soul to the story that just exudes from the page. It's a shame that this is going to finish in the single issues. I already said about this on Wednesday's video, if you missed that. This is finishing with issue 52, but from then on Kurt is going to bring out further stories of Astro City, but as I guess you'd call them original graphic novels. They're going to be, graphic novels in the full story in one volume, rather than putting them out month after month in the kind of floppy editions. So I'm interested to pick up that, and I'm sure I certainly will, and see how this, I guess you call it an experiment, goes. If people are going to be willing to fork out a kind of graphic novel price, however many times they come out, if that's going to affect sales or not. But it's an interesting line to go down to. But Astro City has always been a solid story told month after month, and it's just got so much heart and soul to it. I'm going to be sad to see these floppies go, but we'll see how it transpires, how it affects the readers in general. And that's it from me this week. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to thumb this video up. If you're not subscribed to me yet, there's more videos to come over the next week. So hit subscribe. Tell me down in the comment section down below what were your favourite books that you read. Is there anything that I should be picking up now that I'm dropping The Realm? So I'm going to be one short the month, and I've got a lot of books that are starting to finish, so there's going to be gaps in there to look out for new titles to pop in there. So I'd love to know from you lot some good stuff to read. So pop them down in the comment section below. Until next Wednesday, which will probably be the next video up, where I'll have a whole new set of books to go over. I will see you soon. Enjoy all your comic book reading, and bye-bye.